Good evening, viewers. I'm Shaquita Thomas. You are now tuned into Family Matters, a program which comes to you under Child Links Recovery Safeguarding Reintegration Initiative. This program is spearheaded by Child Link and Child Care and Protection Agency. This program is funded by the delegation of the European Union to Guyana. This evening, we will be discussing the importance of family-based care and the role of the parents. Tonight, I have three amazing panelists with me who will share their expertise and shed a lot of light into the role of parents. So I'll have you introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Milton Smith, Probation and Social Services Officer with the Ministry of Social Protection under the Child Care and Protection Agency.
Hi, good night. My name is Mark Foster. I'm a general practitioner. I work at Georgetown Public Hospital and I'm attached to the internal medicine department.
Hi everybody, my name is Vida Ram. I'm a program coordinator of a doctoral leadership program and I work with an institution called Baki Graduate University, but I love focusing on families and parenting.
Okay, thank you for introducing yourselves. So we will be discussing the role of the parents, and I know that our panelists tonight, they have like a lot of information for us.
Yeah.
So let's get started. So can you tell me, what are the role of parents?
I don't, according to history, I know that the male role serves as the provider, the protector, and the priest. That's according to history. And the female, they're more seen in a caring position, ensuring that the home is kept, the children are raised, certain things within the home is up to standard. But we must take note that our society is changing. We have the emergence of gender equality, which tells us that no specific role is given to anyone, but we all can interchange our roles and contribute to the holistic development of society. So we're seeing that men are cooking, women are cleaning, men are taking care of babies, women are going out in the workforce. And because of the change in society, right, these roles are taking on a new perspective, right? But the role we know, that we know about and that we are accustomed to is that seeing the man in a protector position where he protects his family, where he goes out and he works for his family, right? And he stands there as a spiritual leader of his home and for his family. And we see the woman within the home environment, ensuring that the children go to school, the clothes are washed, food is cooked. Those are some of the roles that we know about in the olden days.
Okay, Dr. Foster.
Right. So I pretty much agree with what he said. I mean, he mentioned everything. And I do agree that roles are changing. In today's society, we find that more and more women are working. They're providing. We find that more and more men are, staying home with their children and so on. There are a lot of examples that I have. I have two wonderful children. And a lot of times I would have to, I would have to help her. I was about to say cook, but my wife knows I don't cook at all, right? So, no, right, so I can't lie here, right? So, yeah, so I would have to do different chores around the house and so on. And my wife is actively, she's working, right? So roles are reversed in today's society. Nonetheless, both mother and father, very important and crucial for the development of the children.
Yes, I see the role of the father as being a very pivotal role because not only is he the provider, but I think that he also serves as the role model for his son and his daughter. And so kids are picking up from their daddy cues like, how do I treat my girl? Or how do I treat the guy in my life? Because the way dad treats mom, the way he responds to issues, the way he problem solves, the way he protects, the way he provides, all of these are critical things. And I see though also that both mom and dad, uh, their roles are interchangeable in today's society. So mom is a provider, dad is a provider as well. And I think the both of them are responsible for leadership of the family. So they help their children to learn how to make decisions, they help them to problem solve, they help them to develop a dream for the future, they help them to think about careers, they focus them aright in terms of education, and they serve as their primary counselors. So I think that parents have a real pivotal role in nurturing their children so that the children in turn can take those values and take what they have learned into the broader society so that we can have the kind of Guyana that we want to have. It all begins in the home. That's where we have the first company, the first executive group.
Yes.
That's where it gets started, where the values are taught and transferred.
Hey, I take two. I want to add to what
Vida.
would have said. She said about nurturing, but I want to add a word to there. The role of the parents is to provide structure, also to nurture, meaning providing that love and affection to the child, providing that safety, that home environment, providing that home cooked meal that the child can come home to, providing that the clothing that the child needs, the educational support that the child needs. So when we talk about family-based care and the role of the father and the mother, is to help to support a child to reach his or her full potential, right? So that's the nurture that they provide. The structure that they provide is to help the child understand that there are rules, right? That doing certain things should be done a certain way, right? To instill a level of discipline. And when I talk about discipline, I don't talk about lashes, right? Discipline can be administered in different forms. You don't have to beat a child to help a child understand that he or she should do this, he or she should act in this way, right? It's simply like taking away privileges from them. And that is where we help children to understand the value of life. When they feel that everything they started simply, they start to take away the little things where you get, and then they knock you back. And sometimes when we see those things, we laugh and we say, okay, then it's all right. The children it's fun. We see that fun. But the role of the parent and the father and the mother is to provide that structure, let the child understand that this is not right what they're doing, and to impart the right knowledge and structure into the child's life.
Okay, with that being said, I noticed you guys mentioned protecting children, teaching certain values, and a key role is ensuring the children are healthy, both physically and mentally, which means that parents plays a role in their emotional or their mental development. So I'll ask Dr. Foster to expound on that for me, the role of the parents in ensuring the children are healthy.
Well, the last word that you mentioned there, healthy, health. So basically, the World Health Organization defines health as any state of complete physical, social, and mental well-being, not only the absence of illness or disease. Now, when you think about that definition encompasses so much, right? It means that one could be physically well, all right? We're dealing with your child is a child that is active, takes part in sports and so on, physically well, doesn't have any illness. But does that child have any other issues going on? I mean, the University of, I believe it's Maryland, right? So the University of Maryland did research recently, and they found that households with single parents households, their children, they were slower in school, right? These children were also more prone to be depressed. So these were children that aren't mentally well, right? So one can't be healthy if one of the most important pillars, being your mother, your father, is absent, right? There we see the importance of parenting, right? So I think that parenting plays a crucial part not only in your physical well-being, but that social, providing money, financial stability, right? Providing that mental stability, having that father to lean on, that father that supports you, right? One example I like to use is, for instance, myself, my father, right? In terms of supporting me, I never lived with my father, but he was always around at important events. And one thing that stands out in my mind is that my dad was there at my primary school graduation. He was there at secondary school, at my university. So that support, right, gave me confidence to go on and keep pushing. So that all comes back to mental stability and ties into making the child a healthier person.
And I want to add this story. So I'm this teenager, just got my first job. And as a teenager, you know, your self-esteem is often tested. And so at that particular point in time, I had to work late. There was an exhibition, and the company that I worked with was showing off a particular fancy instrument that I had to talk about. So I was excited. But you know, when we drove home and I had to go out of the vehicle to my home, I was getting really anxious. Guess why? I didn't want people to see where I was living. I wasn't proud of how my home looked, you know, and I just felt like really, really embarrassed. So there was this girl who ran over into her house, and she had the dog come lick her hand, and, you know, manicured lawns, and I had to go, and, you know, the fence was broken down, and the paint is peeling. So I remember going up the stairs because I didn't want these people to see, you know. And I went up the stairs and I had started to cry. I was really embarrassed. So I knocked on the door. My dad opened the door. And so he said, well, why are you crying? You know, and I was like, Dad, I feel so embarrassed because everybody see where I live in, you know. And I'm so embarrassed and I'm crying. And, you know, Dad said something to me that I will never, ever forget. He looked at me. He didn't have the right terminology, nor was the sentence grammatically correct, right? But he said, gal, you got personality. You could become anything that you want to become. And you can imagine what that did to my self-esteem.
Yeah, that's how it lifted
it
it.
just soared
Lifted it,
through the
correct.
roof, right? And I never forgot. That became a learning point for me, as a sense of like real awesomeness, if I'm to say that. You know, I just felt like so relieved, and I was like, oh yes, I've got personality. Yeah, you know. And so I you know, Dad did that. I never forgot that. And so the idea that I wanted to bring out, based on the question that you asked him, is this kind of emotional bonding, this emotional security. Girls are going out there throwing themselves at men because there's not that connection, because daddy is too busy, or because maybe somebody else is not making that connection, you know?
And since mental health is a big thing on our agenda, I think that is attracting a lot of attention in our country, because we find that a lot of persons are becoming depressed. A lot of persons are falling into this state of anxiety. What you rightfully said is the things that are set to individuals, set to children, that can actually break their self-esteem or lift their self-esteem. We often hear the saying that your father is the first person that should tell you that you're beautiful and they love you, right? That alone, when anybody else tells you anything else, it will not matter, because from the mouth of your parents, it speaks life into you, and it helps you to bloom as an individual, and it builds your self-esteem, it builds you emotionally. Not to say that each situation will not come in life that will try it, but because you have already been given that foundation, right, from your parents, that blooms into something bigger and something better. And you know, a lot of times we see children who are suffering from emotional abuse, right? Being told hurtful things by the same person that is supposed to love, is supposed to nurture them. And I think that is when it impacts more on that child's life. When the parent will call them certain names, when the parent will tell them certain insultive things, it impacts on their life and it hurts more bad and it cuts very deep.
Yeah,
And I just want
true.
to add quickly that hurting people tend to hurt others. And so, as we think about parents who are listening today, and they're saying, well, wow, your father did this or your mother did this, but I just can't seem to get the words out. I can't even say, I love you. I can't even kiss my 14-year-old or 10-year-old or 5-year-old and say, bye, I love you, come give mommy a hug. It seems as if I'm stripped of that. So for parents who are going through that kind of phase and you feel as if, you were abandoned emotionally too when you were growing up, I think that you could open yourself to counseling, that you could read, I didn't, everybody becomes a parent, but you don't have a manual that says, oh,
This is
step
how you
1,
do
step
it.
2, step
Yeah.
3,
This is what you
right?
do.
Yeah.
So what I did when my kids were growing up, I just spent a lot of time reading books. I read how to discipline. I read how to help build the sense of self-esteem in my kids. So I think that parents, you can do something. Don't settle. Don't just become numb to the realities that you're faced with. Get up and do something, and you can do it. And of course, ChildLink is there to help, right?
Yes, we have some great parenting skill and parental training programs available. We have some amazing counselors on board.
Yeah.
So yes.
That's wonderful.
So we're talking about reintegration and to taking children who probably were removed from their homes back into their homes, and the role of the parent. I often tell parents when they sit in front of me, your child, it's your child. Don't see, sometimes you say, I will give her a chance. Let me try with you, right? And see if it's going to work. So when it doesn't work, what happens? You replace the child, you replace the parent. Don't see it as though you're giving the child a chance. You're not giving this child a chance. That child belongs to you. You're supposed to work towards the development and the sustainability of that child. That child did not ask you to come into this world, right? And you are not doing that child a favor, right? Oftentimes we see that as though we're doing the child a favor by opening back our homes and letting them back into our homes. No, you are performing your role as a parent. It is your responsibility to provide security, provide protection, provide food, clothing, and shelter. You are not doing that child a favor, right? You are acting as the child's parent.
Okay, thank you for that. That's a lot of information. And as teenagers, or maybe you just wrote CXC, and you're choosing a career path. You're working towards finding your passions. You have aspirations and these things. How can parents play a role in directing, those choices and helping their children to make positive and productive decisions as it relates to their career and their development?
Now, oftentimes parents try to live their lives through their children because you did not get to do it.